Personal accountability isn't just a concept, it's the foundation of every powerful life. When a man finally understands that his circumstances are not excuses, but results, something inside him shifts. He stops blaming the world, stops blaming people, stops blaming the timing, and he starts looking directly in the mirror. Because that mirror never lies. That mirror reflects every choice you've made, every hour you wasted, every opportunity you ignored, every time you pick comfort over discipline. Your life today is simply the scoreboard of those decisions. And that's why accountability is the first step to transformation. Most people live in denial. They think life is supposed to make sense without effort. They believe success should arrive at their door because they want it. But wanting isn't enough. Wishing isn't enough. You can't be the kind of person who complains about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. You must become brutally honest with yourself. You must be willing to say, if I don't have the life I want, it's because I haven't earned it yet. And that truth hits hard, but it also liberates you. Because the moment you take ownership is the moment you gain power. Excuses feel safe. They feel comforting. They make you believe failure isn't your fault. But what excuses actually do is chain you to the same version of yourself, day after day, year after year. You think you're protecting your ego, but you're destroying your potential. You tell yourself you couldn't start the business because the economy was bad, but someone else built theirs in the same economy. You say you can't get fit because you're busy, but someone busier than you is in the gym right now. The truth is, excuses aren't reasons. They are permissions you give yourself to stay weak. And this is why accountability is so rare, because it demands courage. It demands that you face your flaws instead of covering them. It demands that you admit your habits, your patterns, your mindset have been working against you, not for you. When you take accountability, you strip yourself of all the protective padding and you stand face to face with your own reality. And yes, it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. Growth has never been comfortable. But it is the only way forward. When you look at high-performing people, the ones who achieve at levels others can't even imagine, they all share one thing: they take ownership of everything. If they fail, they don't whine. They analyze, they adjust, they adapt, they try again with more force, more precision, more discipline. They don't blame the weather, the world, or the people around them. They blame themselves in a constructive way. They understand that as long as the responsibility is theirs, the power is theirs too. And that is the mindset that separates winners from everyone else. Most people live life reacting. They react to problems, react to emotions, react to challenges. But accountable people live life creating. They create discipline. They create direction. They create opportunities. They create results. When you operate from accountability, you no longer wake up hoping the day will be good. You wake up determined to make it good through your actions and your decisions. And that is a life-altering shift. There is a certain confidence that comes with accountability, because once you adopt it, you stop fearing failure. You stop fearing criticism. You stop fearing judgment. You know that no matter what happens, you can adjust and improve. You know that you are in control of the trajectory of your life. And that kind of certainty builds a level of power inside you that excuses can never provide. Accountability makes you disciplined, focused, resilient, unstoppable, and that's the truth. Most people avoid accountability is the ultimate form of freedom. It means you no longer depend on luck. You no longer wait for the right moment. You no longer rely on others to fix your life. You become the engineer of your destiny, the architect of your habits, the commander of your actions. And once you embrace that, excuses lose their grip on you entirely. They dissolve. They become unacceptable to you. Because you realize that every minute spent making excuses is a minute stolen from your future. A minute that could have been used to build, to advance, to improve, to win. People love to talk about motivation like it's some magical force that will lift them off the couch and push them into greatness. But motivation is a liar. It's temporary. It's emotional. It comes and goes depending on how you feel, and feelings are the weakest foundation you could ever build a life on. If you only act when you feel motivated, you will achieve nothing extraordinary. Motivation may start the engine, but discipline is what keeps the car moving long after the excitement fades. And that's where greatness is built, in the moments when nobody is watching. Nobody is praising you, and nobody is clapping for you, but you still show up. People don't understand how powerful discipline really is. Discipline is self-respect. It means you do what you said you would do long after the mood you said it in has vanished. It means you get up early even when you're exhausted. It means you go to the gym when your mind invents 100 reasons not to. It means you work on your goals when everyone else scrolls, sleeps, and wastes time. And the reason discipline is so effective is because it doesn't rely on inspiration. It relies on consistency. If you can train yourself to be consistent, you become unstoppable. Motivation belongs to beginners. Discipline belongs to winners. The people you look up to, the leaders, the millionaires, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, none of them rely on motivation. They're not motivated every day. They don't always feel powerful. They don't always wake up hungry. But they've built systems inside their mind that force them to act regardless of how they feel. And that's why they rise above everyone else. That's why they win while others settle for ordinary lives. The truth is, motivation is emotional, but discipline is mechanical. You can't control your feelings, but you can control your actions. You can't control whether you wake up inspired, but you can control whether you get out of bed and do the work anyway. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. The achievers act regardless of feelings. Success is not emotional, it's mathematical. You do the work consistently, you get the results. Inevitably, most people sabotage themselves because they wait for the right moment. They say, I'll start when I feel ready. I'll start when I'm motivated. I'll start when life is easier. But waiting for perfect conditions is the biggest excuse disguised as logic. If you wait for motivation, you will waste years of your life trapped in the same cycle of wanting but never doing. Winners start before they feel ready. They move first. They adjust later. They know that action creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation. Not the other way around. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped depending on motivation and started functioning on discipline. Imagine if you trained yourself to do the hard things every day, even when you don't feel like it. Imagine the body you would build, the business you would grow, the opportunities you would create, the respect you would earn. Everything you want is on the other side of consistent action, not occasional action, not emotional action. Consistent action discipline also transforms your identity. The more you keep the promises you make to yourself, the more powerful you become internally. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who executes, not someone who hesitates. And once you believe that deeply, your entire behavior changes automatically. You start expecting more from yourself. You stop tolerating laziness. You stop negotiating with your weaknesses. Discipline becomes part of who you are, not something you force. There is a different type of confidence that comes from discipline. It's not loud or temporary. It's silent, calm, and unshakable. You walk differently when you know you can rely on yourself. You think differently when you know you don't need motivation to take action. You approach challenges differently when you know you have built the mental toughness to endure discomfort. That kind of confidence cannot be bought, borrowed, or gifted. It is earned through discipline alone. When you operate from discipline, your results no longer fluctuate with your emotions. You become consistent in your habits, consistent in your improvement, consistent in your progress. And that consistency compounds into something extraordinary, something most people will never experience because they never learn to control themselves long enough to see what they're truly capable of. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the doorway, the entry ticket, the price of admission to every level of success you dream about. The problem is that people have been taught to run from discomfort, to avoid anything that feels difficult, to retreat the moment life applies pressure. But the truth is simple. The level of success you achieve will always be equal to the amount of discomfort you're willing to endure. The people who rise to the top aren't the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who step into it willingly because they know growth has never come from comfort. Think about your own life. Every meaningful transformation you've ever experienced came with struggle. Whether it was improving your body, leveling up your finances, building discipline, or breaking a bad habit, pain was always part of the process. But somewhere along the way, you started believing that pain meant stop. Pain meant turn around. Pain meant this isn't for you. And that mindset is exactly what keeps you average. Pain is not a red light. It's a green light that tells you you're entering new territory. Territory most people will never dare to explore. Every champion, every leader, every successful person you admire has a different relationship with pain. They don't fear it, they respect it. They understand that suffering is the currency that buys success. When they feel pressure, they don't fold, they push harder. When obstacles show up, they don't retreat, they rise to the challenge. They know that comfort produces softness, and softness produces weakness. To become strong, you must willingly move toward the experiences that challenge you the most. Pain exposes who you really are. Anyone can talk about success when life is smooth. Anyone can set goals when everything feels easy. But your true character shows up the moment things get difficult, the moment you're tired, stressed, overwhelmed, frustrated. That's when you discover whether you're made of excuses or whether you're made of grit. Pain strips away your illusions, your ego, your excuses, and reveals the truth of your discipline. And it's only when you see that truth that you can build something stronger. The problem is that modern life has made comfort too accessible. You can escape discomfort instantly with entertainment, distractions, vices, and shortcuts. You can numb your frustration with your phone, with food, with scrolling, with anything that gives you temporary relief. But comfort has a cost. The more comfort you choose in the moment, the more pain you experience in the long term. Financial pain, physical pain, emotional pain, regret. This is the price you pay for avoiding short-term struggle. People don't understand that the pain you avoid today becomes the suffering you live with tomorrow. On the other hand, the pain you willingly face today becomes the strength you live with for the rest of your life. When you push through that final rep in the gym, your body hardens. When you keep working after you're exhausted, your mind toughens. When you discipline yourself while others quit, your spirit sharpens. Pain has always been the sculptor of great men. It chisels away your weaknesses. It carves out your discipline. It builds your resilience. It upgrades your identity piece by piece. Most people fear the struggle because they don't understand its value. They think pain is punishment. But pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's preparing you for the responsibilities you're asking for, the opportunities you say you want, the life you claim you deserve. You cannot ask for a bigger life while avoiding the very challenges that build you into the person capable of living it. The universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you can handle. And pain is the training ground that expands your capacity. There will always be two voices inside you. One whispers, "Take it easy. You've done enough. You deserve comfort." That voice is your enemy. The other voice says, "Go further. Push harder. Endure this. Become stronger." That voice is your future. And every time you choose the second voice, no matter how small the choice, you build a foundation of strength that compounds into something unbreakable. Pain becomes familiar. Hard things become normal. Challenges become opportunities instead of threats. You stop running from discomfort and start running toward the highest version of yourself. That is why pain is the entry ticket to success. It's the test that separates those who dream from those who do. Those who escape discomfort from those who conquer it. Those who talk about greatness from those who embody it. Your environment is shaping you far more than you realize. The people around you, the conversations you hear, the standards your circle accepts, these things are not harmless. They are molding your mindset every single day. You cannot live a strong life in a weak environment. You cannot become disciplined while surrounded by people who worship laziness. You cannot demand greatness from yourself while tolerating mediocrity from everyone around you. Humans are influence creatures, whether we admit it or not. And the environment you choose is either building you into a winner or turning you into someone you don't even respect. Look at your circle right now. Look at the people you speak to daily. Ask yourself a simple question: are they pushing you forward or are they pulling you down? Because there is no neutral. There is no harmless friendship. Every person is either sharpening you or dulling you. If your friends spend their days complaining, making excuses, talking about problems instead of solutions, drowning in comfort instead of chasing growth, then you're absorbing their mindset without even noticing it. Their habits become your habits. Their limits become your limits. Their fears become your fears. And slowly, without realizing it, you become a reflection of their weakness. Success demands a certain standard, a certain intensity, a certain level of discipline that weak environments cannot support. You can't expect yourself to perform at a high level while you're surrounded by people who settle for low standards. You will always sink to the level of your surroundings. That's why most people never rise. Not because they lack potential, but because they cling to environments that suffocate their ambition. They stay loyal to circles that keep them average. They try to grow in soil that has no nutrients. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. But the truth is simple. If you want to elevate your life, you must elevate your environment first. You must remove the distractions, the negativity, the comfort seekers, the victims, the people who celebrate excuses. You must distance yourself from anyone who makes you feel like aiming high is unrealistic or unnecessary. Not because you're better than them, but because you're becoming better than you used to be, and not everyone belongs in that next chapter. Your future requires separation. Your greatness requires distance. When you surround yourself with strong people, your whole mindset shifts. When you talk to people who are disciplined, you start valuing discipline more. When you're around people who are ambitious, you start thinking bigger. When you're in a circle where excellence is normal, you stop seeing greatness as optional and start treating it as a requirement. Iron sharpens iron, and if your circle is made of plastic, you'll never become steel. This is the truth most people avoid because separating from weak influences hurts. But staying with them costs you your potential, and that's a price no one should ever be willing to pay. A powerful environment forces you to rise. When the people around you expect something from themselves, they begin expecting something from you too. Suddenly, sleeping in feels unacceptable. Wasting time feels embarrassing. Making excuses feels shameful. You absorb their standards the same way you once absorbed weakness. You begin to compete with them, not in a toxic way, but in a way that pulls everyone higher. You become the type of person who feels uncomfortable being anything less than excellent. And when that becomes your new normal, everything in your life changes. Your environment also determines your future opportunities. The right circle opens doors you didn't even know existed. They share ideas, strategies, connections, knowledge, things that weak circles don't even think about. The right people make you think differently, act differently, expect differently. They expand your possibilities by exposing you to a world that average people never see. And once your mind expands, it can never shrink back to the limitations you once accepted. Yet most people stay trapped because they fear being alone more than they fear being average. They cling to friendships that drain them because familiarity feels safer than growth. But loneliness is temporary. Mediocrity is permanent. And if choosing a stronger environment means walking alone for a while, that's a trade every successful person has made at some point in their life. Because walking alone toward your future is always better than walking with the wrong people toward your downfall. Your environment is shaping your destiny. And if you want a destiny worth living, you must choose an environment that demands the best version of you every single day. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect opportunity, the perfect feeling. They convince themselves that once everything aligns, once life becomes convenient, once the stars finally line up, that's when they'll take action. But that moment never comes. Perfection is the trap that keeps millions of people stuck in the same place year after year. They don't move because they want everything to be flawless before they start. But nothing in life becomes perfect before you begin. Action creates perfection. Waiting destroys it. The truth is, people fear starting because starting exposes them. The moment you move, you face failure. The moment you act, you risk looking foolish. The moment you take the first step, you leave the safety of excuses behind and enter a world where your results depend entirely on your effort. And that's terrifying for most people. So they hide behind preparation, behind planning, behind endless research. They pretend they're being careful when in reality, they're being scared. They're protecting their ego instead of building their future. But the people who win, the people who rise, the people who live lives others envy, they don't overthink. They don't wait for perfection. They move first. They learn on the way. They make mistakes, adjust, repeat, evolve. They understand that action is the fastest form of learning. You become excellent by doing, not by imagining. You master the craft by practicing, failing, refining, trying again. And every small step forward puts you miles ahead of the people who sit paralyzed by the illusion of perfect timing. This is where most people misunderstand success. It's not about having a flawless plan, it's about having the courage to execute a flawed one. It's not about knowing everything before you begin, it's about figuring things out while you're in motion. Life rewards momentum, not hesitation. When you take action, even imperfect action, you create opportunities. You create progress. You create clarity. But when you wait, you create nothing. You stay exactly where you are, hoping for a miracle that never arrives. Think about how many ideas you've had that you never executed. Think about the dreams you shelved because you didn't feel ready. Think about the opportunities you watched drift away because you told yourself, later. Later becomes never. Later becomes regret. Later becomes a life where you look back and realize you talked more about your potential than you ever lived it. People don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack action. They fail because they wait instead of move. Action is what builds confidence. When you start something, even if you're terrible at it, even if you stumble, you begin developing a sense of capability. Every attempt strengthens you. Every failure teaches you. Every step creates momentum. And momentum is everything. Once you start moving, even slowly, you become harder to stop. Action fuels belief, and belief fuels more action. That cycle is how you transform your life from the ground up. The fear of imperfection is the enemy of progress. You cannot be so fragile that a mistake breaks you. You cannot be so insecure that you avoid starting because you might fall. Falling is the point. Falling is how you grow. Every successful person you admire has fallen hundreds of times. They didn't win because they were perfect. They won because they refused to let imperfection hold them back. They started raw, rough, unpolished, and they refined themselves through relentless action. You must give yourself permission to begin poorly. You must accept that the first version of anything you do will be messy. The first workout, the first speech, the first business attempt, the first project, they will all be imperfect. But imperfection is progress. Imperfection is proof that you tried. Imperfection is the foundation of mastery. The people who become great don't start great. They start with uncertainty, insecurity, discomfort, and they push through anyway. If you want results, you cannot worship perfection. You must worship action. You must choose movement over waiting, execution over hesitation, progress over procrastination. Because life doesn't reward the people who plan the most. It rewards the people who act the most. The ones who dare to move even when it's messy, even when it's uncertain, even when it's uncomfortable. The ones who understand that waiting for perfection is the fastest way to waste a life. Legacy is not about what you own. Legacy is not about how many people like you, how many followers you have, or how much money is in your bank account. Legacy is about the version of yourself that you leave behind, the standards you set, the impact you make, and the example you create. Every decision you make today either builds that legacy or destroys it. And most people never consider this because they are too focused on comfort, too focused on temporary pleasures, too focused on the shallow validation of the moment. But if you want to live a life worth remembering, you must think beyond today, beyond tomorrow, and begin acting like the person your future self deserves. Most people are addicted to the present. They live as though nothing matters beyond this moment. They chase instant gratification, superficial approval, and fleeting successes while ignoring the long-term consequences of their choices. And that is why most lives end in mediocrity. If you want to be exceptional, you must operate on a different timeline. You must make sacrifices today for rewards that will arrive years from now. You must endure struggles today that nobody else will endure because your eyes are fixed on a higher standard, a bigger vision, a legacy that will outlive your comfort. Your name is your brand. It doesn't matter if the world knows you or not. What matters is that you know who you are and the values you uphold. Every action, every word, every decision contributes to the reputation you leave behind. And once your reputation is established, it becomes your foundation. People respect consistency, integrity, and strength. They remember those who act decisively, who push through pain, who refuse to settle. That is why every man who seeks greatness must cultivate himself as if his life is a brand. And every brand begins with discipline, focus, and relentless pursuit of excellence, the future doesn't reward excuses. The future doesn't reward procrastination or hesitation. The future rewards action, results, and resilience. You must live with the understanding that your time is limited and your potential is finite, and every day wasted is a day that could have been invested in building something extraordinary. A legacy is not accidental. It is engineered through conscious effort, through relentless commitment to self-improvement, and through decisions that align with the highest version of yourself, not the version that seeks comfort or approval. To build a life worth respecting, you must demand more from yourself than anyone else ever will. You must set standards that feel uncomfortable, challenge yourself in ways that feel impossible, and pursue goals that most people would consider unrealistic. Most people fail because they are willing to accept mediocrity from themselves. They settle for good enough, and in doing so, they betray their potential. But when you hold yourself to a higher standard, when you refuse to tolerate weakness, laziness, or excuses in your own life, you create a personal gravity that pulls success toward you. People notice strength, even if they never say it aloud. They respect men who command their own lives. The legacy you build is also about impact. What you do for yourself matters, but what you do for others defines how long your influence lasts. Every lesson you learn, every principle you embody, every level you rise to is not only for you. It is for the people who observe you, follow your example, and carry your values forward. Your legacy becomes a ripple effect, spreading influence far beyond what you could achieve alone. That is why true success is never selfish. It is never just about personal gain. It is about creating a life that teaches, inspires, and elevates those who come after you. Living with a legacy mindset transforms the way you approach everything. It changes your habits, your decisions, your priorities. It forces you to see the bigger picture, to think strategically about the life you're building, and to act deliberately every single day. Small compromises become unacceptable. Weakness becomes intolerable. Excuses disappear because you understand that every action matters, every choice contributes, and every day is an opportunity to become a man worth remembering. When you live like this, you no longer chase fleeting pleasures. You pursue permanence, impact, and greatness. Now you understand the truth that most people refuse to face. Life doesn't owe you anything. Excuses are worthless. Comfort is deadly. Motivation is temporary. And waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. Your results, your future, and your destiny are entirely in your hands. You are the one responsible for your choices, your actions, and the version of yourself you decide to become. No one else will fight for your dreams, no one else will push you to rise, and no one else will hold you accountable. That's your job. You have the power to reject weakness, to embrace discipline, to endure pain, to surround yourself with excellence, to act before you feel ready, and to build a legacy worth leaving. Everything you need to succeed already exists inside you, but it only activates when you stop hiding behind excuses and start executing. Winners don't negotiate with comfort. Winners don't wait for permission. Winners don't apologize for their ambition. Winners take what they want, and they earn it through relentless action. This is your moment to decide. Will you continue to be average, to settle, to listen to the small voice that tells you it's too hard? Or will you rise? Will you push past the discomfort, destroy the limits you've accepted, and take control of your life? Every second you hesitate is a second wasted, and every second you act brings you closer to the man you were meant to become. Remember, life is not about luck. Life is not about timing. Life is about results. No excuses, just results. Your future is waiting. Your legacy is calling. And right now, right this second, you have the opportunity to step into the strongest, most unstoppable version of yourself. The question is simple. Will you take it, or will you let it slip away